just wanted to express my deepest gratitude to you. I think from the satsangs I've been attending last time in London, I got to know you from the satsangs in London last year in Brixton.
Yes.
And then the silent retreat, and since then there's been a lot of changes happening.
Yes. Very good.
What has been happening in terms of some of the experience, I feel there's been a lot of melting that you mentioned in terms of this from the person
Yes.
more to the presence.
Yes.
So I feel that's been happening quite a bit, and I think the silent retreat in Thiru really helped that, and I felt a lot of space,
Yes.
centered space, and being centered, and a lot of internal stillness that happened during that time.
Yes.
Post that, I think my mom passed away very soon after that, after the London satsang that you had one day
in March.
on March.
Yes.
After that week, mom passed away, so there was a period where things were very, very hard, in terms
Yes.
of the emotions, because she was somebody who was very special, and she was a total compassionate. She was a big devotee, and her whole life was just about sacrificing her own time for others. There was a lot of love from her to
Yes.
so many people.
Yes.
And I was very close, so it was a very difficult time. But when that happened, there was a part of me that wanted this melting to happen almost instantly, because
Yeah.
of that, whether it was to prevent the grief, to try and suppress the grief as one way to want this melting to happen much more quicker than, to accelerate the melting. And that was there for a long time. I think I felt, I don't know whether it was because of the retreat that was there, or it was because of mom passing away, that this melting wanted to really just be melted away almost instantly.
Yes.
And when I was there at the London retreat a couple of weeks back, I think one of the things that I really got from that was important was that even this melting is seen.
Yes.
So to wanting to make it happen quicker or slower, it seems to be all still in the mind, and there's a part of me that...
Yes, it is to an extent, but don't dismiss that. They are together one. There's a sort of dynamic aspect of the self, which wants to somehow be unified with the root awareness, basically. It's also an aspect of yourself that longing to be free from the influence of the mind or conditioning. That's a natural urge, a sattvic desire and urge to remain in your completeness. But that urge is manifesting for the sort of phenomenal being, not for the pure awareness. Now, it's becoming more clear that you are the awareness itself. But the attention fluctuates between pure awareness and our dynamic being, our sense of existence. And it's a sense of existence which is prone to identify with personality and ego. And whenever that happens for you, it begins to feel much more painful than when you are not aware of yourself as awareness. Now the shift from presence to person, the personal aspect of presence will be more painful, because now you're beginning to experience the space of natural being, the impersonality, the impersonalness of the pure self. So when you go into the state of personhood, it feels a contracted and a compressed state. So something just wants to be free of that. It's also a very noisy state. So this is natural feeling. So somehow there will continue as long as you have a body. The body's there. The vital force and consciousness is there. Mind still rises, in terms of its own kind of energy come. there will be a play of maturing, refining in consciousness against a background of unchanging awareness. It's like your two aspects of yourself, the unmanifest and the manifest being. So that movement of feeling that I want the melting to continue will feel more loud if more time is spent in that state. But as it becomes more clear that you are awareness itself, it will not seem so significant to be waiting for some melting to happen. The whole feeling of melting will then seem completely phenomenal. It will seem like it's just another movement of the mind, because the awareness does not need that, and you are now fully established in your awareness being, more than the personhood aspect of self.
Right.
So that will not have such a strong pulling power. It will not engage your attention so much after a while, because you are becoming again. When I say you are becoming again, you as the conditioned consciousness is now sort of dropping back into your fullness as awareness. You see?
Yeah. No, I was thinking that the other day when I was walking, I felt this. For a while, there's this, like you said, when the sense of person is there.
Yes.
Away from the awareness or the subtle, the presence, it feels very heavy. It doesn't feel comfortable at times. It feels like that I'm not sure what that space is anymore.
Yeah.
Something doesn't want to be in that space at times at all. I mean, obviously, quite often when you immerse in work and you're focused on various activities, then that goes away.
Yes.
But at times when you're just in that, when you're at yourself trying to be in that presence, and the person comes up, the mind brings up the person and the activities of the person and the worries and the fears and etc. That phase or that space becomes very uncomfortable at times.
What is important in those periods is that it's a call for self-focusing. Let's put it like this for the moment, where you are again self-reminding, recognizing that is also phenomenal, although it feels like it's running in your veins when the identity is present. But still there's a feeling, but that is also a phenomenon, that is also witnessed somehow. And use that recognition to confirm that you are the awareness itself.
Right.
So the energy just drops back into the awareness, and it's not pushed out into into personhood. As soon as it's clear that, but I am watching this is being watched somehow, then the energy shifts from the outer, or the sense of personality will start to feel like it's outer, it's also out, and that is being watched. And that recognition point, that point of recognition, is confirming yourself as the self itself. That's what you have to do. And to sit with it purposefully, intentionally, to sit and to confirm this over and over again in your looking. Just keep checking in until somehow the pull towards that personal feeling, it just diminishes somehow, and all that's left is just a space. Another way I can put it is that the sense of personhood becomes insignificant and loses all its attractive powers, then merge into the self itself.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, and I think at times when that happens, I think, like you said, the mind it tries to remind there's still a personal aspect. So
the mind is doing a good work also, because funny enough, even in this aspect, as to try and deceive you, to say, or to distract your attention, or to keep your attention on the body, you have to use this as a kind of tension that strengthens your resolve, to use it as a way of exercising your power to stay as the self. It's a funny kind of way. You can look at it in purely negative terms and think that the mind is just like something separate trying to get you, But if it is something trying to get the you it is trying to get is also an aspect of mind.
Yes. Okay.
You understand? When you
Yes,
can
yes.
see that the mind itself is a way in which the consciousness, it's like you develop spiritual muscle building, basically. Because in trying to tempt your attention away from true self-centeredness, it shows that there was still internally a potential for distraction.
Right.
So when that distraction is being somehow exercised, then comes the power to pull your attention back. And this is a creative power. This is something important for a while. This is the whole play of existence, that you have to transcend these powers. They are your powers also. And you have to transcend them by not sending your energy out into the outer field, but holding the energy into the place of witnessing first. And then the witness confirms, but I can be none other than just the self. So there's no panic. And then the power of the mind functioning as a destructive agent is transformed. And as soon as that work is necessary, it's important and it's unavoidable, is the way in which the consciousness exercises its own power. The mind, like I say, as I said sometime, consciousness sometimes create the sense of a problem through the mind in order to experience transcending this problem.
Okay.
You understand? Otherwise, we're going to think that the mind is just a separate evil thing trying to get you. But no, it's an aspect of your power. It's inside your kingdom, and you have to transcend that, because otherwise it will pull your attention into delusion. And you must conquer the potential, the possibility or probability of fragmenting your energy into delusion by holding, because you are the master itself. When I speak with you, I don't want to speak with you in a kind of life improvement kind of way, because I am only looking at you itself as the Buddha speaking to you. You are the Buddha itself. You have to conquer and understand your powers. When you understand them in the correct context and you understand your true position, then these powers cannot rule. They will themselves prostrate to the supreme power. But when the supreme power is under the hypnosis of being a person, then the supreme power becomes a servant to its own projections. This is the real play of the existence that's happening. Even for the common man, it's happening like that, but he is not yet aware of it at all. So he's being beaten, but still he's holding his ground still as a person. You're coming out of that. You're coming back into your Buddha consciousness. So therefore, in some way, it's as though whatever is left, whatever artillery is left inside the mind, it's going to spend them now. It's like when this fire is going out, the smoke, at the last moment, smoke gives up the strongest puff of smoke. It's somehow something comes up like this, that that somehow it is as though, in a pictorial way, the mind is going to try its last shot at trying to pull your attention into fragmentation, to distract you. But now you have this super weapon, which is, you know that whatever it is that you can perceive, it's a phenomenon. It has no ongoing reality. Its reality is depending upon the fuel of your attention.
Right.
You see, if you believe, because the mind can only relate to you in this way, if you take the notion that you're a person, then the mind can discuss things with you. It can threaten you. It can distort. But when you realize you're a consciousness, mind has no power to delude the consciousness. So it's sometimes the game intensifies when you have to move through some narrow gate of awareness. The game can seem to intensify. The mind will rise up with very strong personal, what I would call kind of reminiscing mind, the mind that will rise up as sentiments, as in memory, and it will take many forms. But all of those forms are less than you because they arise in you as awareness itself.
Right. Yeah.
Do you follow what I'm speaking?
Yes, absolutely. And I as I said, I think in the satsang, there's more of that. I can see.
Yes.
There's seeing even of that presence as well as the person.
Yes.
The seeing is happening in terms of both, in terms of this melting, of the seeing of the melting.
Yes.
And more of the subtle and the awareness itself.
Yes.
As well as when there's this personal, the mind brings up the person as well.
Yes.
And the heaviness of the person and the worries and the fears and the pleasures, whatever it is of the person, that is also seen as well.
The melting
and
out.
Separate.
Yes, the melting out. The melting out is another way of putting this. The melting out is really the diminishing ground that remains for the mind to play. It's like somehow as consciousness, now you're pulling in your power into a kind of focus, and there's less room for the mind to play about in terms of its deceiving abilities. So that amounts to the kind of fading out, the melting out. And although that is perceived, it is also not perceived only, it is seen and felt. Because you can feel that this sense of melting is also a kind of joy. There's a joy, a bliss about it also. But then you remember that, but this is also seen. You're not dismissing that, just you're moving to much more purer ground. But this is also seen. Now you say even presence itself is being seen, being felt, being perceived. So automatically, if presence itself is being perceived, then the perceiving core of presence is imageless.
Yes.
Isn't it? What must happen at that point? That even presence itself is seen. What is left of you?
Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing. Yeah. So yes, I can have the words. I can put descriptions about this seeing and the contracting. But like you said, when there's the presence itself is just perceived. There's nothing to describe. There's nothing to say. It's just silence. At that moment, there's just nothing.
I just wrote this thing. This morning I got up. Let's see if I got it here. I wrote something. It must be for you. I wrote this thing. It says personal growth, spirituality, philosophy, identity, life, relationship, ambition, the joys and sorrows of life, work, rest, time, space, world, beliefs are all phenomena. The movements and play of consciousness as mind and experience. Self, the immutable and eternal reality, is that in which the phenomenon of existence appears. This message I wrote, I think, for you.
Thank you.
I got up, I just wanted to write this thing. I got up, I just wrote it this morning. You can see, it's just the last page. I'm up to this page, I wrote it.
You're so up to, I think.
Yes. All that you can perceive. All that you can perceive. Not many people, their consciousness is able to bear or to tolerate this type of insight. But someone is able to hear that, the all-encompassing vision of that pure and unmixed consciousness, which can somehow recognize that all that is perceived, internally and externally, as relating to the body, all that is phenomena. This is not going to be a global message because most people will not understand. Some rare beings will comprehend that. And in recognizing that, you see that you are here before this universe. Because in the eyes of God, this universe that we take to be so solid are just ephemeral images flickering. They are just the dust light that shines from that supreme consciousness somehow. You don't have to speak about these things. It's deep within your own being, in your own self, that realization come. And with that, all this that I speak about is only the phenomenal mirror in which that absolute consciousness awareness can taste again that which cannot be described, you see. And that is felt even in this body. This is the miracle, in fact, that the consciousness perceiving through the instrument of this body can recognize that and taste that. And that is the uniqueness of the instrument of the human form of consciousness, that capacity is there in us to perceive like this.
Yes, yes. Mooji, thank you. And there's one, I was listening to one of the YouTube videos last night. One of your favorites was the king and the cleaning boy.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And I've seen so many YouTube videos. I mean, and heard. I have a lot of the audio downloaded onto my MP3 player, and I listen to it daily and watch videos. But the first time I watched that yesterday, the king and the cleaning boy, and I was very curious to know. There was a moment towards the end where you stopped, and I guess you had a couple of the tears. You stopped for a while. I was just curious to know what that was in that particular thing that.
For me, perhaps.
Suddenly it gave me. I was just curious. I don't know. I just wanted to ask you that yesterday when I.
Yes, because here for my own self, whenever I feel that, because this is a real opportunity of bringing home to human beings what opportunity this life is for. And when I think like of that moment when that recognition that someone sometimes who is not they don't think so highly of themselves, but that seeing is evident in them. It's just anything that shows that opening, that possibility of the awakened mind, then I am sometimes just deeply touched that seeing occurs. All of my interactions with people is to come to that place of recognition. That is the only true and the highest purpose of any conversing or conversation for me, is that it comes to that point of recognition or realization, and to see that someone, that worthiness, what I'm speaking when I say worthiness, may be a worthiness of attitude, because all are the self. When we use words like worthiness, it means that when the consciousness is not indulging in such activity as to bring it into fragmentation or distraction, but somehow is pulled towards true self-recognition. That for me is always touching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And one final request is that whilst this play is still happening, just to request your guidance, your umbrella as a Sadguru, just to look after this.
Yes.
This evolving, just to make that request, if humbly requesting.
When that request arises with authentically from you, it is being satisfied immediately. It is being satisfied. Anyone who comes with this aspiration, this maybe determination, I don't know, but this urge, then your chance will not be missed. Your chance will not be missed. There is no other purpose actually for my own self. I cannot see any purpose for being here longer if it were not for that. If it were not to meet beings who are really drawn to that truth. I don't see anything that is comparable. So the very urge or that desire inside your heart that arises Grace has put it there, and without doubt, you are being taken care of.